Keep your finger blank until ready to shoot. Keep your finger in your pocket until ready to shoot. Keep your finger in the magazine well until ready to shoot. Keep your finger away from the trigger until ready to shoot. Or keep your finger away from the pistol until ready to shoot. Keep your finger blank until ready to shoot. Keep your finger in your pocket until ready to shoot. Keep your finger in the magazine well until ready to shoot. Keep your finger away from the trigger until ready to shoot. Or keep your finger away from the pistol until ready to shoot. The what? Keep your finger away from the trigger until ready to shoot. Right? Because you can have your firearm in your hand, but you want to have your finger away from the trigger until you're ready to shoot.
Everybody got a finger guard, but and you don't want to have your hand on your pistol at all if you're not planning to use it, basically.
Yeah, but for this question, a lot of these questions they take off of the main test because they're kind of iffy. But if you're holding your firearm, for example, if you're not ready to shoot, you can have it and you could be discussing something. You could be practicing something else. If you're not ready to shoot, you keep it away from your trigger. The licensee should always know what their target is. True or false?
True.
True. The licensee should always know what their target is. You should always keep a semi-automatic pistol in the magazine stored separately. True or false?
Stored separately?
Stored separately.
True.
True. You should always keep your semi-automatic pistol in the magazine stored separately. Keep the firearm out of the reach of A, instructors, B, children, C, yourself, or D, the division.
B, children.
Children, correct. Keep the firearm out of the reach of children. To keep the slide open, let's see, you remember nomenclature. To keep the slide open, use the A, magazine release, B, slide catch, C, safety, or D, safe action trigger.
Slide catch.
Slide catch, correct. Correct. To keep the slide open, use the slide catch. When passing a semi-automatic pistol to another person, leave in the clip and keep the slide closed. True or false? When passing a semi-automatic pistol to another person, leave the, first of all, this says clip, one of the old questions. Leave the magazine in and keep the slide closed. True or false?
Can you say that one more time?
When passing a semi-automatic pistol to another person, leave the magazine in and keep the slide closed.
False.
False. When passing a semi-automatic pistol to another person, you lock the slide, open it, and take the magazine, right? When it's gonna safe, now you can pass it to another person, right? Immediate action to be taken on clearing a stoppage or malfunction should start with what steps? A, tap, shoot, ready. B, decock, rack, bang. C, tap, rack, ready. Or D, rack, catch, ready.
Tap, rack, ready.
Tap, rack, ready. Correct. Right? Tap, rack, ready. You remember what tap, rack, ready is?
Yeah.
Right? Tap the magazine in the magazine. We'll tap the magazine to make sure the magazine is in the gun correctly. Right? You rack the slide. You pull the slide all the way back. Let it go forward. And then that cartridge will be in the chamber and you'll be ready to fire. Right? Tap, rack, ready. When you rack the slide, you're taking out the cartridge we had a malfunction with. And then when you put the slide forward, you put another round into the chamber. Take out the old cartridge, put in the brand new one. The semi-automatic pistol should be field stripped, and the what should be removed before using a board brush? The trigger, the slide catch, the barrel, or the sights? The bore brush is used to clean the bore, right? So if I field strip my semi-automatic pistol before using the bore brush, am I going to take out the trigger, the slide catch, the barrel, or the sights? Correct. You take out the barrel because the bore is inside the barrel. So to clean the bore, you're cleaning the barrel, right? The inside of the barrel. Correct. Let's see. You guys know these. When a misfire occurs, alert the instructor. True or false?
False.
When a in this class, if we're at the gun range and a misfire occurs, you alert the instructor. True or false? True. True. If you have a misfire, you keep the gun pointed in the safe direction, and you alert the instructor. You let me know. Right? You can put your hand up, and you can call for me. All right. That way I can take care of it. There are two types of revolvers. Two types of revolvers. Double action and single action. True, false?
True.
True. Two types of revolvers. Double action and single action. That's true. If a loaded pistol clicks but does not fire, what is it called?
Misfire.
A failure? He said misfire. A failure to chamber, tap, rack, bang, misfire, or double action?
Misfire.
Correct. If a loaded pistol clicks but does not fire, basically you pull the trigger to fire and it goes click and doesn't fire, that is a misfire. When unloading, you should flip the cylinder open with a wrist movement. True or false? When unloading, you should flip your cylinder open with the wrist movement. True or false?
False.
False, right? Takes two hands to operate a revolver. You're not using any wrist movement. Cylinder release latch, take a support hand, you push out your cylinder. Two hands to operate a revolver. A double action revolver can be used the same way as a single action. True or false?
True.
True. Double action revolver can also shoot single action. Generally speaking, operating a revolver is a what manner? A, one-handed manner. B, two-handed manner. C, team manner. Or D, group manner.
B.
B, two-handed manner. Correct. Generally speaking, operating a revolver is a two-handed manner. A built-in safety feature for a double action revolver. A built-in safety feature for a double action revolver is the A, heavy trigger pull, B, awkward grip, C, heavy cylinder rotation, or D, heavy ejector rod.
Heavy trigger pull.
Heavy trigger pull. Correct. We'll do a couple more, all right? If a hang fire happens, the officer should allow how many seconds to pass before taking action? 3, 5, 10, or 30?
30.
30 seconds. If a hang fire happens, the officer should allow 30 seconds to pass before taking action. All right, we don't know misfire, we don't know if it's a hang fire, you wait 30 seconds. You're gonna wait 30 seconds. If your grip is not firm when shooting a semi-automatic pistol, the pistol can jam. True or false? True. If your grip is not firm when shooting a semi-automatic pistol, the pistol can jam. True. If you have a loose grip on your gun when you pull that trigger, that slide not gonna be able to cycle the cartridge all the way back and forward. The slide won't be able to go all the way back and forward sometimes, and the gun could jam on you. Not all the time, maybe, but it could happen. Upon this command, all shooters would immediately stop firing and wait for further instruction. A, hold them low. B, cease fire. C, about face. Or D, holster. Upon this command, if I yell this command at the gun range, all shooters would immediately stop firing and wait for further instruction? A, hold them low. B, cease fire. C, about face. Or D, holster. You said what? Cease fire. Correct. Cease fire. If we're at the gun range and someone yells cease fire, you stop shooting. You completely stop shooting. We don't know what is going on. We stop shooting completely. Smoking is allowed on the firing line. True or false? Smoking. False. That's false. You as a student may score another student's targets. True or false? False. You may not grade each other's papers. No. Let's see. The only talking that should be done on the firing line is by whom? A, co-workers. B, students. C, instructors. Or D, audience.
C, instructor.
C, instructors. Correct. No one is allowed on in the front of the firing line unless all firearms are unloaded and is approved by the firearms instructor. True or false?
True.
True. True. When drawing a firearm from the holster and when reholstering, you should keep your finger in the trigger guard. True or false?
True. Oh.
When drawing your firearm from the holster, you should keep your finger in your trigger guard.
And the trigger guard is this.
Yeah, this right here is the trigger guard. So you're saying when I'm taking my gun out of my holster, I should keep my finger in my trigger guard.
No, false.
False. Correct. You want to keep your finger off of the trigger, away from the trigger. The only time you should dry fire on the range is when A, when you have nothing else to do. B, when the group ahead is shooting. C, when under supervision from the instructor. Or D, when you run out of ammo during the sequence. The only time you should dry fire on the gun range is when A, you have nothing else to do. B, when the group ahead is shooting. C, when under supervision from the instructor. Or D, when you run out of ammo during a sequence.
C.
C, under supervision from the instructor, right? When you dry fire, is when you pull the trigger, when you actually pull the trigger on your firearm, right? But that's when you have an unloaded firearm or you have dummy rounds in here, right? The only time you're pulling the trigger is either when you're shooting or when you're dry firing. If you're dry firing at the gun range, you're gonna be doing it under supervision of the instructor because you're doing a training sequence, right? Before loading the firearm, you should make sure that there is no obstruction in the bore. True or false?
True.
True. True. Before leaving the firing line, what should you do? A, bow your head. B, holster the firearm. C, unload the firearm. Or D, put the safety on. Before leaving the firing line, what should you do? A, bow your head. B, holster the firearm. C, unload the firearm. Or D, put the safety on.
C.
C, unload the firearm. All right, before you leave the firing line, you have to make sure you don't have a loaded firearm here. You unload the gun first, and then you may leave. All right? So, that concludes this practice test. All right? Good. All right, bro. Yo, bro.